Hey guys, welcome to the first video on Pixelon Land of Monsters. It's a Monster Evolution card game that I've been working on for the past couple of months, and I'm going to go over the rulebook today with you guys. First, we have setup, and it goes over the cards as well as setting up a game. The monster cards have their name at the top center, and their level to the left. Underneath their picture, there is their power to the left and their cost to the right. Power is larger, so that way it's easier to see. And underneath their power and cost is their ability. The same can pretty much be said for spells. So the top is the name, then it's got its cost, and then it's got its effect. And that's just what this goes over. Obviously, when you're setting up a game, you want to shuffle and cut your deck. The deck is placed to the bottom right of the play area, with space for a discard pile below. Above the deck will be your Determinant Card, which we'll talk more about later. And then to the left of the deck is the playing field. There are 5 horizontal slots to place your card, and once you have placed a monster in one of these locations, it cannot be moved. Outside the playing field, you'll want a piece of scratch paper and something to write with. It'll make it easier to keep track of your HP. I won't be going over the story right now in this video, but I will go over it in another video. If you want, you can pause and take a look at the summary. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. So here's the summary, and then we'll move on. Your role as a player is that you are a spellcaster with the ability to control monsters, and you got this ability the moment King Remus III opened the gates of Pixelon. That's more story stuff, we're not going to talk about that right now. You collect monsters that you come across and conjure more powerful ones as you grow in strength, and you may have one or multiple colors in your decks to suit your preferences. The point of the game is just to see who has the strongest deck. The victory conditions are when you reduce your opponent to 0 hit points, or when your opponent has reached a toxin count of 10. You can also get victory if no moves can be made by the opponent with the given amount of HP. When everything has been set up, it's time to draw the Determinant Card. This is the top card of your deck, and it decides who goes first. In a contest of monster versus monster, the higher power wins. In a contest of monster versus spell, spells always win. And in a contest of spell versus spell, the higher cost wins. And if it's a tie, you just draw again and again until player 1 has been chosen. You begin play with 60 hit points, and there are 5 phases. They are draw, spell, summon, attack, and end. During your draw phase, you draw a card at the beginning of your turn. Player 1 does not draw at the beginning of the first turn, and during this phase, you may sacrifice 1 monster in play to regain HP equal to the number of cards discarded, or you may draw a number of cards equal to the amount discarded. So, if you discard a monster with 4 evolutions, you could either regain 4 hit points or draw 4 cards. During the spell phase, you untap any tapped monsters. You use spells, obviously, it's the spell phase, and monsters that are summoned during this phase enter the field tapped and cannot be untapped in the same turn. There are abilities that allow monsters to attack the same turn they're summoned, specifically Rush, but generally monsters enter the field tapped. You may summon and evolve during the summon phase. Summoning and evolving costs HP. Evolving costs the amount given. Summoning costs double. So if you have a 2-cost monster, it would cost 4 to summon it directly, but 2 to evolve it on top of a monster. You can only evolve into a monster that is one level higher than that of the monster you're evolving from. This means that you have to evolve consecutively. You can't skip 2. You have to do 1 into 2 into 3, if that makes sense. Monsters can only evolve on top of monsters of the same color. Monsters that enter the field during this phase are tapped unless a monster has an ability that allows them to attack the same turn. Rush, again. Monsters that enter the field via an ability are tapped unless the monster has an ability. Blah, blah, blah. There are 5 types of abilities. You have attack abilities that go off whenever the monster attacks or instead of a monster attacking. You have evolve abilities that occur when a monster is evolving into a card with an evolve ability. Inherited abilities are abilities that carry over to any evolutions this monster may have. On-play abilities take effect when the monster is summoned or evolved. Nope, not when it's evolved. Just when it's summoned. And passive abilities are always in effect as long as they are on the field. They are cancelled if the monster is evolved or defeated. They also are abilities that are triggered, such as abilities that go off when you're attacked. You're limited to 5 monsters on the field at any given time. We already knew that. Next up is the attack phase. In battles against other monsters, the higher power will be victorious. The remaining monster will reduce its power by the power of the other monster. For example, Monster A has a power of 5 and Monster B has a power of 7. When they fight, Monster A is defeated and Monster B is reduced to 2 power. In battles against a player, the monster's power is how much damage is dealt. Monsters can only attack once per turn, then become tapped. Some abilities and spells may allow a monster to attack multiple times before being tapped, such as Haste. You may not attack monsters on your side of the field, and you may end this phase without attacking with all of your monsters. Finally is the end phase. You regain 1 HP for every untapped monster, including its evolutions. So if you had 3 monsters, one of them with 1 evolution and 2 of them with 2 evolutions, and none of them were tapped at the end of your turn, you would regain 5 hit points. All of your monsters return to full power, and then you end your turn. So that about wraps up how to play Pixelon Land of Monsters. I'm going to go over the index, and then I'm going to end the video. So the index goes over keywords and common things so that anybody can just skip to the end of the book and quickly look up what they need to look up. I will be adding to this as I go until I run out of space, pretty much. First is ability. This goes over attack, evolve, inherited, on-play, and passive abilities. Common abilities are boost. This monster gains 1 power. Evolve this monster to the next level from your hand. Haste, this monster can make 1 additional attack. Rally, adjacent monsters gain 2 power. Rush, this monster enters the field without summoning sickness. Summon 1 monster of the same level as this card or lower from your hand. Swarm, for every monster with Swarm on your side, gain +1 power. Taunt, if untapped, opposing monsters must attack this card. And Venom, when attacking an opposing player, deal 1 toxin instead of damage. Then you have the cost. This goes over how much it costs to summon and evolve. The Determinant Card, it's the card drawn first to decide who goes first. Evolution is the process of changing your monster to a more powerful form. Hit points, you start with 60, and when reduced to 0, you lose. Level indicates what evolution stage the card is at. Pierce is an effect that allows a monster to deal any remaining damage from its attack on a monster to the opposing player. Power, sometimes abbreviated as P, is the amount of damage dealt by a monster. A round is a section of the game that is comprised of each player's turns. And a turn is a part of a round. Each player's actions take place during their turn. A slot is one of 5 horizontal locations on the playing field. Only one monster can be in each slot, and you cannot move a monster from its slot once it is placed there. Summoning is the process of summoning your monster directly. And summoning sickness is the fact that monsters enter play tapped unless stated otherwise in an ability. So that's that. Let me know what you think of what I have so far. In the next video, I'll probably go over the Glacier deck and possibly the Inferno deck, so that you guys can have a look at what the cards look like, what the current state of the game is, all that sort of stuff. I can't wait to start actually playing the game on the channel, so that way you guys can get a feel for how it plays. And yeah, I have a Discord. If you're interested in checking that out, I'll put that in the description below. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.